I'm here with HBCU graduate who gives his athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, and influencers a chance to collaborate and tell their story. Derrick Hayes, the entertainer. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm blessed, man. It's great to be alive. Great to talk to great people like yourself.
Thank you, man. And I'm inspired by your work. And you get a chance to tell your story today. You know, being a graduate of Tennessee State University, what was it like going to a HBCU? I feel like Tennessee State, has a rich history. I think of people like Oprah Winfrey, like graduated. She's an alumnus of Tennessee State, correct?
Yeah, Oprah Winfrey, Wilma Rudolph,
Yeah.
uh, Richard Dent. I went to school. When I was in school, I was in school with Carlos Rogers. He ended up being a lottery pick. And, the basketball team won the OVC twice. And then he's now doing great things in business overseas. He chronicles his life over in China when he goes back and forth from Detroit.
Wow.
Also went to school with Jeff Carr. You may be familiar with his brother Greg Carr, who does a lot of things in the media. And so Jeff Carr was the president, and we had one of the greatest lock-ins, sit-ins in history, and it made a lot of changes on the campus. So it was like it's a lot of love. So people like when you see people on TV or you see people in person, sometimes people don't think you really know them, but everybody knows everybody. Even if you forget their name, you know their face.
That's incredible. And I feel like, HBCUs are so important in our community. And TSU obviously has a rich legacy. And, you majored in business. What was the reason why you decided to major in business to go that route?
Well, business was what I knew as far as growing up. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was always selling or I was working on my craft as a hip hop artist. I sold my first slogan when I was in high school. I didn't know what I was doing, but it was this pest control company. And so they knew I was creative. So they said, "Hey, can you write a slogan? We'll buy it from you." And so I said, "Put your pest to rest." Just like that. So, but I was young. So I had the idea in 5 seconds, but I told him I had to, let me get back with you tomorrow and then I'll present something to you.
That's really, that's really innovative. I think that you're working early on and working with companies. You mentioned your hip hop career, like you were pursuing hip hop at one point.
Yeah, when I was young in high school, it was an avenue to keep us busy. It was an avenue to keep us creative. I didn't know that was going to plant the seeds for what I would do in the future. But we was always me and my friend named Ed Lewis, and we would sit there and just write raps. But it kept us out of trouble. It helped us develop our vocabulary skills. It helped us develop our articulation. It helped us with public speaking. It gave us confidence. And my mom told me one time, my late great mother told me one time, because sometimes you don't think your parents are listening. And I would always start my raps off with, "I'm telling you, man, I'm the best. I'm telling you, man, forget about the rest." And my mom came around the corner one day. She said, "Man, I'm telling you, man, you need to change up some words." And so it hit me that number one, she was listening to me. And number two, I had to diversify. I had to, add more to my game.
That's great. I feel like, I have a similar experience like with hip hop. I feel like it did give me confidence and the ability, to get in front of people and speak and now to do interviews. And you talked earlier about, fellow student Andre Lee, who's now the executive director of the 100 Black Men of Middle Tennessee. Uh, he helped start the Wall of Excellence Scholarship and Development Fund with you. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that came about?
It came about because Andre had a father in his life and I had a father in my life. So we had different backgrounds, but because we both had fathers in our lives, our fathers made sure we went to college. And so while we were in college, we didn't meet. I don't think me and him met till like late sophomore or junior year. But when you start off in college, there are people that don't finish, for different reasons. So some transfer, some flunk out, some don't have the money. And so I was, we was on the downtown campus one day, And I was one of them guys that I just say, hey man, I got this idea, let's do it. And so I tapped Andre, I literally tapped Andre on the shoulder and I said, man, you see that blank wall over there? We're gonna use that to keep kids in school. And he was like, he looked at me like, for real? Like, all right, whatever. So, but he didn't say no. And so we started playing with the idea. And so everybody on campus that could have told us no told us yes. The first part was College of Business. They said, hey, it's worth looking into. Then at the time, it was the fundraising department, public relations. And then we, as young entrepreneurs, we sat down with the president, Dr. Hefner at the time. And everybody that could tell us no told us yes. And so that's what came of the idea. And since the early 90s, it's helped raise over $1 million. And the money goes to students for help them stay in school and help better the College of Business.
Definitely. And I feel like that's such a needed tool for students to have, you know, from somebody who went to college. And I've seen what you were speaking on, like, where people, will be in college and maybe they face some financial difficulty and they'll have to leave, or like, people stop their education and like, have to pursue it later on. We all have different paths. I feel like there's a lot of rhetoric out there now that encouraging people like not to go to college. You feel college was helpful for you in your life, and like, why would you tell young people to go to college?
Well, I actually work in a high school and I'm the guidance clerk. So sometimes I'm the first face or the first voice they see and hear, even before they talk to their counselors, because I'm the secretary. They had to come past my desk, whether they speak or not, they had to come past me to get to their counselors. So college is very important. But I do tell people to find your path, and we don't force students to go one way or the other, but we want them to be prepared, whether it's the military, whether it's college, whether it's to the workforce, because they have different programs in place. They have apprenticeships, they have internships, they have like where the students can take the ASFAB so they can see if they qualify for the military. And I even talk to students about if you want to go to college, what is your gift? What are you good or great at? How can you specialize? How can you get the most out of the opportunity? Don't just go to college just to go. Go to college to grow. Network. You still have to network and build relationships. Find your skills. Find what you're good at, so that you can be great at it.
Most definitely. You're definitely great. You're uplifting lives now with the 5 W's: the who, what, where, when, and why. You interview people in 30 seconds or less: athletes,
Yes, sir.
authors, artists, entertainers, entrepreneurs, experts, and influencers. Who's some of the people like you've interviewed that you've been inspired by the most?
Uh, well, everybody inspires me, but sometimes it's ones that you never thought, right? Like there's a young man named 730 Herc, right? He's out of Orangeburg, South Carolina. He's a hip hop artist. I go to different events, and so I met him. I interviewed him. I didn't know how big his following was. So once I interviewed him, and I learned about Instagram through him and through another young man named Boston Cheese, who's a great artist in the community. And so what I learned was, see, sometimes on Instagram we just tag people and we hope that it's gonna do some numbers. So when I tagged 730 Hurt, there was another aspect to it where it said invite to collaborate. So I invited him to collaborate, and see, no one has to accept, but when they do, it's like teamwork, and your numbers go up. And you also get to see not only your numbers change, but you see how well somebody supports someone else. And then your one interview that didn't take you long to post is out there on 2 to 3 pages. And so he was my most viewed interview in the last 6 months. So one 30-second interview with him with the invite to collaborate, he accepted. It's done close to 7,000 views just on Instagram. And I give you real numbers because this is organic. This is not buying It's not buying views. It's not promoting the interview. This you just see it organic. I'm not saying nothing wrong with those methods, but I got to see how it works before I add other elements to it.
Yeah, I think that's really incredible. Like, especially you're not paying for ads. And like you said, there's nothing wrong with paying for ads, but like, to
Right.
see interview do that many numbers organically that people like
Yeah.
have a
Sometimes
genuine
you want to see how it works before you put more and more effort into it. Because
right,
sometimes you could be blinded by your efforts and don't get to see how it works. I met also great people like Smitty the Goat. He's real good in the money financial industry. And also I've learned that different platforms will give you different numbers. Like Smitty the Goat's interview, say for example, he didn't accept the invite to collaborate, right?
right,
That's no knock on him, but I posted the same interview with him and it did 3,000 on Facebook.
right.
And then I met another man named Ugly Money Nietzsche. He has a great following. The way he collaborated with me was different than how others would collaborate with me. He has an entertainment page. So sometimes they'll collaborate with you on their main page, or they may have an entertainment page, which is a blessing because he didn't have to get back with me and say he'll work with me in any kind of way.
Definitely
So I
no,
look at I look at all insight as value.
definitely. I totally understand that. Derrick Hayes, the entertainer. What's next for you in your career?
Right now, I just living life, man. Uh, I'm the entertainer because a few years ago, someone asked me to start teaching young men how to tie ties. And so it just, instead of entertainer, I built the brand entertainer. So I started showing young people, how to tie neckties, regular ties, bow ties. But what I'm doing right now is I'm interviewing and I'm also showing young people not how to make $1 out of 15 cents, but how to make $5 out of 25 cents. Because I right here, like I mentioned when I emailed you, I said we're going to the championship. Our high school plays in championship tomorrow. So we're actually playing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and our school is known as ODH. So I developed an earring. ODH stands for on the hill. So in the O, I put the Mercedes-Benz symbol because tomorrow we're playing in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And so I'm teaching young people how to turn arts and craft to change their life. Like this right here is a keychain. So right here, someone had some fleece, right? This is just a block of fleece they was gonna throw out. So I have a niche without a stitch, right? That means I don't know how to sew, but I gotta make it go. So I got some pinky shears so it won't fray. So I went to work today, had my handmade, I call them hymns, like church hymns. Hymns is a handmade scarf. So I went to work today with my hymns on, right? And they were like, man, they wanted to buy it off my neck. So right now I'm just teaching the game to others. You know, I'm learning how to collaborate with others. I do workshops throughout the year. And one of my workshops is called Make It to Build Character. So I'm showing young people, especially young people of color, how to make things to change their life. Like something simple like you can take the same shape right here, right? And you can get a magnetic piece from Hobby Lobby or even Walmart. And once you peel the magnetic piece and put it on a flat surface, you have a product. And the crazy thing is, I'm teaching young people that, and I want them to understand that something simple that goes on your refrigerator, they will pay you at least $5 for it. Man, my name is D, so I don't always call it retail. I call it detail.
Definitely, man. You're teaching the game. Derrick Hayes. I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I read the article on Black News. That's how I found out about you initially. But doing the interview with you was so much more. Like, I felt like you were inspirational from the interview, like I read on Black News. But like, speaking to you in person and stuff, I was so happy I was able to speak with you.
Man, that's what the word Glover. You Glover, right?
Yep,
Yeah, I mean, Glover means great learning offers value, so everyone receives.
definitely. Derrick Hayes, man. I really appreciate you.
Hey, thank you, Ryan, and tell people one way to start trying. That's how you got to get to the Ryan, where you reveal your abundance now.
Definitely. Appreciate you.